welcome to Adventures with Peps. We are today painting a Magos Dominus from the Imperium magazine. These are also known as a Tech Priest Dominus, and is a senior Tech Priest of the Adeptus Mechanicus. So as you can see, he is based, primed, all that good stuff, and we are going to kick things off with a dry brushing of lead belcher on all the metallic-y parts. So the Magi of the priesthood of Mars are the masters of much of what remains of the vast and potent military secrets of the age of technology, particularly the ancient technology of combat robots and the battle autonoma. A Tech Priest Dominus may live for many standard centuries or even millennia, prolonging their life through arcane science and progressive cybernetic conversion, willingly becoming something other than human, as they seek to fulfill the Omnissiah's will. This, for me, is going to be the first time painting one of these guys. Luckily, we've already decided on our Forge World. We're going Ryza, so we know bright orange, hopefully, by the end of it all. But I really didn't know how to paint one, so I heavily leaned on what the magazine showed me. They had the painter painting the entire model silver. I didn't like the idea of that, so I am purely just picking out the metallic parts on the model. And with the last few bits, getting right in there, we have, hopefully, all the silver parts now dry brushed. And he's already looking pretty cool. So much metallic on this model. Kind of regretted painting in black. I should have done a white undercoat looking back now. That was an error on my behalf. But hey, it happens. Realizing my folly, we grab the base paint Corax white, and we are just going to get a layer brush and hit up his cloak, anything cloth, a couple of the eyes, or lenses I guess they technically are. I'm going to also catch with the white and just try and get as much of the robe to be a nice crisp bright white again. And through the power of YouTube editing, we now have that stage complete. Yeah, I can see why people want to paint the Metallica scheme, because he looks pretty cool in white. I can imagine some red accents, he'd look really cool. And with the base coat done, we're going to start moving on to the contrast paint. So up first, Gilman Flush. I'm using this purely on his little servo skull in the top corner there. It's probably going to end up bone shaded, so this will give it a nice undercoat base to start with. It's quite a dark tan flesh coloured, so I'm hoping over that metallic it will help give it a base, give it some nice shadowing, that when I go over it later with a lighter colour, it will help pop a bit more. And with that drying, we move on to another quick paint, a Telesa Blue. I'm going to use this on his, I think it's like a plasma weapon, but the plasma coils on the gun, just think it's going to give it a very nice energy colour. And this contrast paint is just going to go on, settle in those ridges really nicely, really smoothly. And it's going to give a wonderful effect, as you'll see quite quickly. Look at that. Love how contrast paints work. It makes my life so much easier. I'm able to knock these models out so much quicker than having seen how well it took to the coils. I also do the eye lenses on the servo skull and on the Magos's head as well. I feel like the blue will pop more against the orange. I was thinking of doing the eye lenses red, a bit more classical colour, but having seen the blue on the coils, I knew I had to use this on other parts of the model as well. Now with some colours in place, I realised that he's too silver. there's too much lead belcher. So I grabbed the Nasdrag yellow contrast paint, which you've seen me in previous videos use to make like a bronzy golden color. And I start picking out just a few items. So things like the gun, some of his shoulder pad plates. I just start using this contrast paint over the silver in the hopes to give it some different colouring, just to help pick out some key features whilst keeping that metallic look about him. With the gun complete, we then start picking out some facial features on him. His weird beard / mustache that he has going on, along with his cane and some other little gubbins that he has, like the tips of his tentacle, I forget what, mechanites, I think they're called. I just find this little touch is going to help the model pop a lot more once it's fully painted. And then the final stage for this section is going to be his shoulder guards and the back plate. I feel like those sections would stand out more compared to his other mechanical parts. They're the bits that take the damage when he goes to war. They're the bits that also point him out as a senior leader rather than a follower. And with some great painting skill, you watch me drop my paintbrush. And we'll get all that done, and then we'll be right back. So now the model is really starting to take shape, and we grab the Griffhound orange contrast paint, and we are going to hit up all his robes. Starting with the hood, I want to make sure he is bright orange, so I'm laying this on quite heavily. I'm hoping it's going to just grab all the folds in his robe and just really look amazing and bright and colourful. And as we are finishing up the model, you can definitely see he is bright, he is bold, he's in your face. This guy is knocking down doors and stealing your technology. He has got no issues with taking what he believes is his. It's a really fiddly model to paint. There's just so many bits on it. Looking back, maybe I should have done the robe first and worked my way to the metallics. I find it weird to go light to dark as opposed to dark to light. But this orange is so bright. In a rare show of me painting, I'm actually going to hit this with a ton of shade as well, just to knock back the orange a little bit, because it is bold as anything. Whilst the orange is drying, I grab the snakebite leather. I tried to shy away from what I felt would look natural colours, i.e. wood, leather, but that axe was just looking too plain and dull, and I felt the snakebite leather would help. Actually, it turned out getting a nice metallic-y shine to it, so it doesn't look straight up brown leather. Kind of looks like a very beaten copper. And I also hit up the pistol with it, just to help them stand out a little bit more than what they currently do. With that all done, we move on to contrast flesh terror red. I'm going to pick out his weird liquid vial that he has on his shoulder. Pick out a few other key items just to help darken down some areas on the model. At this stage, the model's really wet, so we're going to work on the base for a bit using the Mechanicus Standard Grey. Just going to dry brush the textured surface I've got. And then on top of that, I'm going to dry brush it with the Corax White just to give it an extra bit of highlight. Now it's time to pick out some skull. details. So I grabbed my Xandri dust. I want my skull to look old, worn. This isn't a fresh skull for this Mechanicum priest. This is probably his brother or his father, maybe a mentor that he has replaced in the Great System. And to honor their death and their training, he turned them into a servo skull to serve him in their afterlife. You gotta love the grimdark. So this is probably a good point to say like, comment, subscribe, all that wonderful stuff. Basically, he is tabletop ready at this stage. This is also the stage that I decided I've got to hit it with some shade. The orange is way too intense. It came out so much brighter than I expected. I believe on my other Mechanicum figures I'd used the Army Painter orange, and it wasn't this intense. So I had to darken this down a little. And in order to do that, I'm going to use the Agrax Earthshade. It's a nice warm brown. It should sit on the metallics well. It should cover the orange well. It shouldn't darken it as much as something like the Nun Oil, but it should add a warmth that I think will knock back this brightness just enough to make it a bit more palatable for me, as well as adding some shade and shadows to the metallics. With these final few touches, he's pretty much finished. I'm pretty happy with him. I think I've mentioned in previous videos, this is not an army that I am going to collect, but this is definitely an army that I'm going to use now and again as allies to my Space Marines. Something I might just dig out and play with now and again. And I think he's such a cool, creepy looking character. You can just hear those metallic feet clicking across the floor as he's searching for Architect. And with a little cleanup, he is now finished. Tabletop ready. In total, we're about 40 minutes in for start to finish. He's super quick to paint. This video, as with all of my other painting videos, I'm not here to give you Golden Demon standard. I'm here to give you tabletop ready, and I hope this does it for you. I hope you've learned something. I hope you'll give it a go. I hope you just put paint on a model and just enjoy putting paint on a model. I hope you'll like, subscribe, and I'll see you in the next video soon. Cheers for watching.